The RMS Titanic, a name synonymous with both opulence and tragedy, embarked on its maiden voyage in 1912. This majestic vessel, hailed as the epitome of luxury and engineering prowess, was destined for New York City. Its passengers, a diverse group representing various social strata, carried with them dreams of new beginnings. As the Titanic sailed across the Atlantic, a sense of tranquility pervaded the ship. In the dead of night, on April 15th, tragedy struck. The seemingly invincible Titanic collided with an iceberg, its massive hull ripped open by the unforgiving ice. The unsinkable Titanic was sinking, and panic began to set in. As the ship slipped beneath the waves, it took with it the lives of over 1,500 souls, forever etching its name in maritime history. The official inquiry into the Titanic's sinking concluded it was a tragic accident, but for many, this explanation failed to satisfy. Whispers of conspiracy began to circulate, fueled by unanswered questions. Some theories proposed sabotage, insurance fraud, or even a deliberate act. These theories, while often lacking evidence, captured the public's imagination. They remind us that history is often a matter of perspective. As the night wore on, the Titanic, a beacon of light and luxury, steamed towards its destiny. Passengers dined in opulent rooms, unaware of the icy peril that lay ahead. The ship's band played cheerful tunes, adding to the festive atmosphere. In the wireless room, operators received messages about ice conditions, but these warnings were not relayed with the urgency they deserved. On the bridge, Captain Edward Smith and his officers maintained their watch, confident in the Titanic's strength and seaworthiness. Then at 11:40 p.m., a lookout spotted it, a massive iceberg looming out of the darkness. The alarm was raised and the engines were thrown into reverse, but it was too late. The Titanic, unable to change course in time, grazed the iceberg along its starboard side, sealing its fate. As the gravity of the situation became apparent, the order was given to abandon ship. Chaos and fear gripped the passengers as they donned life jackets and gathered on the deck. The Titanic, designed to carry over 3,500 people, had only enough lifeboats for about half its passengers and crew. Women and children were given priority, leading to heart-wrenching scenes of families being separated. As the lifeboats pulled away from the sinking ship, the passengers and crew on board watched in horror as the Titanic slowly sank beneath the waves. The band, in a final act of defiance, continued to play, their music a haunting soundtrack to the unfolding tragedy. The news of the Titanic's sinking sent shockwaves around the world. The unsinkable ship had perished, taking with it the lives of hundreds of people. Newspapers printed extra editions, their pages filled with stories of the disaster and the names of the lost. The world mourned the victims, their hearts heavy with grief for the lives cut short and the families torn apart. The disaster also sparked outrage and demands for accountability. How could such a tragedy have occurred? Were there lapses in judgment, safety regulations, or even foul play? The inquiries that followed revealed a series of contributing factors, from inadequate lifeboat capacity to communication breakdowns. The Titanic's story, with its tales of heroism, sacrifice, and loss, continues to resonate with people around the world. The switch theory, one of the most intriguing and controversial Titanic conspiracies, proposes a daring and elaborate scheme. It suggests that the Titanic was not the ship that sank that fateful night, but rather its near-identical sister ship, the RMS Olympic. The Olympic, built alongside the Titanic, shared its design and layout, making the two ships almost indistinguishable to the untrained eye. Proponents of the switch theory argue that the Olympic, having sustained significant damage in a previous collision, became a financial liability for the White Star Line. According to this theory, the White Star Line, facing financial pressure, hatched a plan to swap the damaged Olympic with the Titanic, insuring the Titanic, actually the Olympic, for a hefty sum. They would then deliberately sink the ship, collecting the insurance money and ridding themselves of a costly burden. Those who subscribe to the switch theory point to several pieces of evidence to support their claims. They highlight inconsistencies in the Titanic's construction, such as variations in portholes and deck layouts, suggesting that the ship that sank was not the meticulously crafted Titanic, but the hastily repaired Olympic. Photographs and eyewitness accounts are also scrutinized for discrepancies, with proponents of the theory claiming that some images depict the Olympic, not the Titanic. They point to the presence of different furniture and fittings, suggesting a last-minute swap. The theory also hinges on the last-minute cancellation of J.P. Morgan, the financier behind the White Star Line, who was scheduled to sail on the Titanic but cancelled his trip shortly before its departure. This cancellation, along with the deaths of several wealthy and influential individuals who opposed Morgan's financial interests, has fueled speculation about a possible motive for sabotage. The switch theory, if true, implicates a complex web of players and motives. It suggests that the White Star Line, facing financial ruin, was willing to sacrifice a ship and the lives of its passengers for profit. It also implicates J.P. Morgan, portraying him as a ruthless tycoon willing to eliminate his rivals through nefarious means. The theory, with its themes of greed, deception, and disregard for human life, has all the makings of a thrilling conspiracy. While the switch theory remains highly speculative, lacking definitive proof, it continues to intrigue and spark debate. It serves as a reminder that history is often written by the victors, and that alternative narratives, even those deemed outlandish, can challenge our understanding of the past. The Titanic's sinking, claiming over 1,500 lives, has inspired many conspiracy theories. The Federal Reserve theory links the disaster to finance and power. It suggests the Titanic's sinking was sabotage to eliminate opponents of the Federal Reserve. Key figures like Astor, Guggenheim, and Strauss were critics of the Federal Reserve. Their deaths removed obstacles to the Federal Reserve's establishment. The Federal Reserve theory casts a suspicious eye on the architects of the Federal Reserve, particularly J.P. Morgan. Morgan, a key figure in the creation of the Federal Reserve, was scheduled to sail on the Titanic but cancelled his trip at the last minute, citing health reasons. This last-minute cancellation has fueled speculation, with proponents of the theory suggesting that Morgan knew about the planned sabotage and chose to avoid the doomed voyage. The theory paints a picture of a high-stakes power struggle, with Morgan and his allies seeking to eliminate opposition to their financial ambitions. Adding to the intrigue, the theory points to the absence of a crucial piece of safety equipment on the Titanic: binoculars for the lookouts. Was this a deliberate act of sabotage intended to ensure the Titanic's demise? While the Federal Reserve theory presents a compelling narrative, its foundation rests on speculation and circumstantial evidence. Critics argue that the theory relies on connecting disparate events without a clear chain of causation. The deaths of Astor, Guggenheim, and Strauss, while tragic, can be attributed to the inherent risks of sea travel at the time. Furthermore, the theory's portrayal of Morgan as a ruthless mastermind orchestrating a mass casualty event to further his financial ambitions lacks concrete evidence. The lack of binoculars for the lookouts, while a contributing factor to the disaster, can be attributed to negligence or oversight, rather than deliberate sabotage. To suggest that this omission was part of a grand conspiracy stretches the bounds of plausibility. The Titanic's sinking, a tragedy etched in maritime history, has spawned numerous conspiracy theories, each attempting to unravel the mystery behind the unsinkable ship's demise. Among these, the mummy theory stands out for its blend of the macabre and the fantastical, linking the disaster to the ancient world of Egyptian curses. The theory centers on the rumored presence of a cursed Egyptian mummy aboard the Titanic, its malevolent spirit allegedly responsible for the ship's tragic end. Some claim it was the mummified remains of an Egyptian priestess, her tomb inscribed with warnings of misfortune for those who dared disturb her eternal slumber. The theory suggests that the Titanic, in transporting this cursed artifact, sealed its fate. The mummy's vengeful spirit, awakened from its slumber, wreaked havoc on the ship, leading to its collision with the iceberg. The mummy theory, while lacking in concrete evidence, taps into our fascination with the unknown and the enduring power of ancient myths. The idea of a curse, a supernatural force capable of exacting revenge from beyond the grave, has captivated storytellers and audiences for centuries. Proponents of the theory often point to anecdotal evidence, such as stories from sailors and travelers who claim to have experienced misfortune after encountering Egyptian artifacts. However, critics of the theory point to the lack of any official record of a mummy being transported on the Titanic. The ship's cargo manifest makes no mention of any Egyptian artifacts. Despite its lack of factual basis, the mummy theory continues to intrigue, serving as a reminder of the enduring power of superstition and our fascination with the unexplained. J.P. Morgan, mastermind or victim of circumstance? The J.P. Morgan conspiracy casts a long shadow over the Titanic disaster. John Pierpont Morgan controlled the White Star Line, the company that owned the ill-fated vessel. Was Morgan a mastermind who orchestrated the sinking, or a victim of circumstance? The theory hinges on Morgan's last-minute cancellation of his trip on the Titanic. Scheduled to sail, Morgan abruptly withdrew, citing health reasons. This, coupled with the deaths of several prominent individuals, has fueled speculation. Proponents argue Morgan saw the sinking as an opportunity to eliminate rivals. They point to the deaths of John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Straus. Morgan's immense wealth and influence have made him a focal point of suspicion. Unraveling the threads. A closer look at the evidence. The J.P. Morgan conspiracy crumbles under scrutiny. Evidence linking Morgan to the Titanic's sinking is circumstantial. His cancellation can be attributed to health concerns. Morgan had a history of heart problems. The deaths of Astor, Guggenheim, and Strauss do not point to foul play. The Titanic's sinking was a chaotic event with many factors. There is no evidence Morgan was involved in the Titanic's demise. Was the iceberg just a tragic mishap? The official narrative points to a tragic collision with an iceberg as the primary cause. On April 14, 1912, the Titanic struck a massive iceberg, sealing its fate. The crew, perhaps blinded by a sense of invincibility, failed to take adequate precautions. Water poured into its compartments, dooming the vessel and its passengers. The official inquiry concluded that the iceberg, combined with human error, led to the sinking. Could the iceberg collision have been more than just a tragic accident? Unpacking the iceberg conspiracy. The iceberg conspiracy suggests the Titanic's collision was a deliberate act of sabotage, not a random accident. Despite lacking proof, this theory has gained traction among some believers. They point to inconsistencies and unanswered questions about the collision. Critics question the Titanic's speed, given the known ice presence. The lack of binoculars for lookouts is seen as a suspicious oversight. While intriguing, the theory relies heavily on speculation and conjecture. This episode on the Titanic, much like countless documentaries, books, and articles, has solidified the public's fascination with this tragic event. The sheer scale of the disaster, the human drama of that fateful night, and the enduring mysteries continue to captivate us. Conspiracy theories promise hidden truths and alternative explanations, offering control in the face of the unknown. It is human nature to seek answers, to make sense of the inexplicable. When faced with a tragedy like the Titanic, where over 1,500 lives were lost, it is natural to question the official narrative. Conspiracy theories, whether grounded in evidence or speculation, provide an outlet to understand and find deeper meaning. However, approach these theories with skepticism. They can be entertaining and thought-provoking, but should not be mistaken for historical fact. The danger lies in allowing speculation to overshadow the real human cost. The stories of the passengers and crew, their hopes, dreams, and tragic deaths should remain at the forefront of our understanding. The Titanic, more than a century after its sinking, symbolizes human ambition and life's fragility. The disaster offers lessons on safety regulations, humility in technology, and human spirit. Its legacy extends beyond conspiracy theories. The tragedy led to significant maritime safety changes like the International Ice Patrol and improved lifeboat requirements. These changes have saved countless lives. The Titanic reminds us to honor the victims. Their stories highlight the human cost and the importance of learning from the past. Memorials and museums keep the memory of those lost alive. The Titanic story continues to resonate worldwide. Remember the human element and honor the victims by learning from past mistakes. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your mind sharp, for the world is full of mysteries just waiting to be uncovered. This is Cryptic Cove, signing off. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay updated on all our latest explorations.